Hello everyone and welcome back to a new Connect IoT project tutorial, this time for the Connect IoT API. This API will help us to connect our smart contract with our libraries that we have for the Raspberry Pi and the Arduino projects. So let's get started with this. If you haven't seen how to deploy your smart contract or what this project is, you can check the other videos in this channel or in the links that we will be putting in the description, right? So for this tutorial, we'll be using the repository at github.com/pull-cross/connect IoT-API, and now as a prerequisite for this tutorial, you need to see what the project is and also to deploy your smart contract. Why? Because we need the account ID for your contract. And if you don't know how to get this environment variable with your contract account, you have to watch that tutorial of how to deploy your Connect IoT smart contract, right? So prerequisites that or requirements that we need for this specific API. Well, we need Node installed. We can check it by running Node version. The same with npm. We need those CLI tools to run our project, and also you have to have your Near account with the Near CLI that you also can watch how to do that in the other tutorial. Why do we need the Near account? Because it is too important for these calls that you will be requesting to your API, the private key of your account, because you can authenticate that you are signing that transactions to the blockchain and to interact with your resources. That allow us in the contract to authenticate that no other person that you access to your registry and to your devices. Okay, so let's get started. The next step that or the requirement that we need is a tool for make API requests. This tool could be Postman, the one that we'll be using today. Could be also Insomnia, Curl, whatever you want, but we will be using Postman for this tutorial. And the next step is to create an env file with your Near contract ID. For this Near contract ID or this environment file, you will need first to clone your repository, clone the API repository. So I will copy the link of the repository with git clone and the link of the repository. Now I clone it, I cd to the folder, and now I can make the environment file. So I will copy the contract account ID. I make the env file with nano.env. Now I write Near contract ID and I paste my contract ID. I save the file, and now I have to install the dependencies. Install. So we run npm install. This goes quickly. We can now configure other stuff for our server, like what is the host that we will be using, the port, the mainnet that we'll be connecting, in this case testnet, mainnet, or whatever you want, and the initialization disable. Okay, so if you are running this API in a cloud provider or a server of your own, you maybe have to configure some extra things like a firewall to access via internet, but in this case we'll be using the localhost network of your computer, so you don't have to configure something extra. But have in mind that if you want to use a cloud provider or a server, external server, you maybe need to configure a firewall, right? So with that said, I will be running Node app, and now it says that my API is running in the server. Now I need to get my private key, because for make a call we need the private key. So for getting the private key, you go to your wallet in the near protocol. In this case, wallet.testnet.near.org, or you can also go to the wallet.near.org for the mainnet. So you have to go to account or a profile route, and you have a button in the bottom to export your local private key. This private key is so important that you don't have to share it with anyone else, because this will give them access to your account and can send tokens, call smart contracts, mint NFTs, all this stuff. You can do it with this private key, so don't share it. You have to enter your account ID to validate that you are the person, and I will copy my private key. I will be blurring this key because you don't have to see it. And how we'll be using this private key in the authorization bar token. Okay, so this private key doesn't need the prefix that they show. You only need the part of the private key that is later of the prefix. So you will see a column, and in from the column on, you will copy that private key, and we will be using the format of a bar token. This bar token is nothing but a header that you put in your request with the authorization key and the value as bar space and the private key that you have in your account, right? So for this tutorial, I will be setting a metadata param for my device. The device was made in one of the tutorials for this project, actually in the one that we deployed the smart contract. So if you haven't seen that, let's check it out. And well, I will be passing some stuff in the body of the request. That is the account that is signing. This account has to be the same related with the private key that you have in the smart contract. Sorry, in the Near wallet, and the method that you want to execute in the smart contract in the blockchain, right? And the params that you want to pass it for. In this case, for example, the register name, the device name, the param, and the value. For the metadata, it is data that you are not using in your application. It's more like configuration stuff, debugging stuff, like for example, firmware version, timestamp, battery of your device, that stuff, right? So we'll be passing this timestamp here, and I will call the function. So I wait for the request, and now we can see that the data is true. This means that the thing that I want to do with my call went so well, and we can check it out in the Explorer. You can go to the Explorer. It's a tool that you have to check your transactions. Sorry. In this case, I am seeing the transactions that I signed. So, for example, we can see that I call this set metadata param for the value of the timestamp. And how can I retrieve that information? With another call that is get device metadata param. In this case, is the same request as you can see in this one. Just let me change also the private key. And you can retrieve this param that we set in the previous call. In this one was the setting the timestamp to this string, and so is what we want this function retrieve or returns. So yeah, we can see now here that in the data JSON that we are receiving, we have the data that we sent in the previous call of set device metadata param. Okay, so that's everything for this tutorial. This is a really quick tutorial of how to implement your API, what is the configuration needed, and how to make the API call. You can now call all these methods that are in the repository: the create registry, delete registry, add device to registry, delete, and getters and setters for metadata, data, and params in that fields. So yeah, without further information, we'll see you in a next tutorial. See you.